Right, so today we're going deep into the world of Wu Zetian,
Oh, yeah.
only woman to ever rule China as emperor.
Wow.
We've got, we've got a whole stack of sources here.
Yeah.
Her Wikipedia page, some historical analyses,
Mhm.
even a bit on the Great Cloud Sutra.
Right.
Clearly, you're looking to go, like, way beyond the basic biography.
Yeah, I think there's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
Even for folks who are familiar with her story. I mean,
Yeah.
Wu Zetian's rise to power and her reign are just full of these
Yeah.
fascinating details that really challenge how we think about leadership,
Right.
ambition, the way history is written even.
Okay, so let's start with that solar eclipse in 624 AD.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about making an entrance, right?
Right.
What do we know about her early life?
Okay.
What might have set the stage for such an extraordinary path?
So it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Born during the celestial event that would have been seen as, super significant back then.
Oh, for sure.
And while her family wasn't nobility, they were wealthy merchants.
But crucially, they believed in educating their daughters,
Interesting.
which was unusual in 7th century China.
Yeah.
Really speaks volumes about the environment that she was nurtured in.
So not just privilege, but given, intellectual tools that most women of her time wouldn't have had.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that ability to think strategically,
Mm-hmm.
analyze situations, communicate effectively,
Right.
all skills that would prove to be, essential in the world of court politics.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And speaking of the palace at 14, she becomes a concubine to Emperor Taizong.
Right.
Now, I know this wasn't exactly a romantic fairy tale.
No more like a calculated move, right?
Right.
Within a complex system, concubines, especially those as intelligent as Wu Zetian,
Yeah.
could wield considerable influence.
Okay.
It was a position that, while subordinate,
Yeah.
offered a unique vantage point to observe the machinations of power.
So already kind of playing the long game here.
Absolutely.
But then Emperor Taizong dies and she's sent to a monastery.
End of story, right?
Nope.
Not quite.
This is where the intrigue really kicks in.
Okay.
Not only does she catch the eye of the new emperor Gaozong, but there are hints of a prior connection between them.
Interesting.
This is a woman who understands opportunity.
Okay, palace drama alert.
Yes.
Gaozong's wife, Empress Wang, sees Wu as a potential pawn,
Right.
a distraction from another concubine. Now, I've read about powerful women underestimating their rivals before, but this seems like a monumental miscalculation.
It really was.
Yeah.
Empress Wang had no idea she was inviting a master strategist into the game.
Wow.
Wu Zetian quickly gained favor, gave birth to sons.
Right.
Crucial for solidifying her position.
Of course.
And the power struggle began in earnest.
And this is where things take a darker turn.
Yeah.
Wu's baby daughter dies mysteriously.
Right.
Whether or not Wu was responsible, she uses this tragedy to her advantage,
Wow.
accusing Empress Wang of murder.
It's a chilling example of how personal tragedy can be manipulated, right? Within a power struggle.
For sure.
The historical accounts are unclear on the true cause of the baby's death, but the outcome is undeniable.
Right.
Empress Wang is deposed,
Wow.
and Wu Zetian ascends to the role of empress.
But her rise isn't without its shadows.
Right.
There are whispers of ruthlessness, eliminated rivals.
Yeah.
Is this accurate, or is this just history's bias against ambitious women?
That's a question that historians continue to debate.
Yeah.
It's undeniable that she consolidated her power through strategic maneuvering.
Right.
And yes, that likely involved removing obstacles, sometimes brutally.
Yeah.
Whether this was more ruthless than what male rulers of the time did,
Right.
it's a matter of perspective.
It's worth noting that even during Gaozong's reign, Wu Zetian wasn't just a figurehead. By 660, he's ill, perhaps with hypertension, and she's increasingly making decisions. They're called the Two Saints, but it seems pretty clear who held the real authority.
This was a pivotal period. While the title implied shared power, it was Wu Zetian who was effectively running the empire.
Right.
This wasn't simply about ambition. She demonstrated genuine competence in governance,
Okay.
which would become even more evident later on.
This brings us to a turning point.
Okay.
Gaozong dies in 683, and instead of fading into the background,
Right.
as might have been expected,
Yeah.
Wu Zetian becomes Empress Dowager Regent for her son, Zongzong. This isn't just staying power.
Right.
It's a blatant disregard for the norms of the time.
Exactly. It was a bold move that signaled her intention to hold on to power, even if it meant manipulating the system.
Right.
It also set the stage for the next chapter,
Okay.
one that would see her shatter all precedents and claim the ultimate prize.
But first, a little family drama.
Uh-oh.
Zong tries to assert his authority
Okay.
and is quickly replaced by his younger brother Ruzong.
Mm-hmm.
I think we know who's making these decisions.
I think we do.
Wu Zetian was orchestrating events from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
While Ruzong technically held the title of emperor, she was the true power behind the throne.
Right.
But even this wasn't enough for her.
Wow.
In 690, she takes an unprecedented step.
Okay.
She establishes her own dynasty, the Zhou, and claims the title of emperor. This is huge.
Yeah.
No woman had ever dared to do this before.
Right.
What drove her to take such a drastic step?
Right.
Was it purely ambition, or were there other forces at play?
It was a culmination of, decades of strategic maneuvering,
Right.
but also a reflection of the political realities of the time.
Okay.
The Tang Dynasty was weakening,
Mm-hmm.
and there were all these factions vying for control.
Yeah.
Wu Zetian, by this point, had cultivated a network of loyalists
Right.
and demonstrated her effectiveness as a ruler,
Okay.
claiming the title of emperor was a way to consolidate her power,
Mm-hmm.
but it also served to stabilize a turbulent political landscape.
So she's not just grabbing power.
Right.
She's presenting herself as the solution to a problem. It's fascinating how she frames this unprecedented move.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, maintaining power in that era often meant playing a dangerous game.
Oh, for sure.
How did she handle those who posed a threat?
So Wu Zetian was known for her intricate system of spies and informants,
Okay.
which allowed her to anticipate and neutralize opposition.
Right.
This, of course, came at a cost.
Yeah.
Fear and paranoia became tools of governance.
Right.
Some might argue that this was simply the price of stability
Mm-hmm.
in a tumultuous era.
It's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
Living under constant surveillance, never knowing who to trust.
Right.
But beyond this network of spies,
Yeah.
there are also accounts of rivals being eliminated,
Mm-hmm.
even members of her own family.
Right.
How do we reconcile this with the image of a capable
Right.
and even progressive ruler?
It's a complex issue and one that historians grapple with. On the one hand, there's evidence of brutal crackdowns,
Yeah.
particularly early in her reign. Officials, even those within her own family who were perceived as threats,
Right.
often accused of treason and dealt with harshly.
Okay.
This wasn't unusual for the time.
Wow.
Many rulers throughout history have consolidated power through similar means.
I suppose the question is whether she was exceptionally ruthless
Yeah.
or simply playing by the rules of the game as they existed.
Exact.
But it's not all darkness and intrigue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about her achievements during her 15 years as emperor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is where Wu Zetian's legacy truly shines.
Okay.
She wasn't just about maintaining power.
Right.
She had a vision for a stronger and more prosperous China.
Okay.
One of her most notable accomplishments was expanding the empire's territory,
Uh-huh.
reclaiming land lost to the Tibetan Empire.
Wow.
This required a strong military,
Right.
which she developed through strategic alliances and reforms.
So skilled military strategist as well.
Absolutely.
But what about within China itself?
Yeah.
Were there any significant changes or reforms during her reign?
Quite a few, actually.
Okay.
And many of them were surprisingly progressive for the time.
Okay.
She understood that true power lay not just in military might,
Right.
but in a well-run and prosperous society.
Mm.
She reformed the imperial examination system,
Okay.
making it more meritocratic
Uh-huh.
and opening up opportunities for talented individuals
Right.
from less privileged backgrounds to rise through the ranks.
This is a key point.
Yeah.
By weakening the hold of the aristocracy
Mm-hmm.
and promoting based on merit,
Right.
she was creating a new class of loyal officials who owed their positions to her.
Exactly.
It was a shrewd way to consolidate her power.
Yes,
But it also had the effect of shaking up the existing social order.
precisely.
Yeah.
And she didn't stop there.
Okay.
She invested in infrastructure projects,
Uh-huh.
improved agricultural practices,
Mm-hmm.
and even implemented social welfare programs.
Wow.
All of this contributed to a period of economic growth and stability.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the narratives of ruthlessness,
Yeah.
But we can't ignore the tangible benefits her reign brought to many people.
It's a reminder that leadership is rarely one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Wu Zetian was undoubtedly a master of political maneuvering
Right.
and wasn't afraid to use force when necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But she also understood that true power lies in creating a system that works,
Yeah.
that benefits the people
Right.
and ensures stability.
Absolutely.
And to achieve those aims, she wasn't afraid to challenge deeply ingrained traditions, even those surrounding religion.
Right.
Her embrace of Buddhism
Yeah.
and her use of the Great Cloud Sutra are prime examples of her political savvy.
Absolutely.
Let's delve into that.
Okay.
Promoting Buddhism to a state religion was a bold move,
It was.
especially in a society steeped in Confucianism.
Right.
How did she manage to pull this off?
It was a calculated strategy, brilliantly executed.
Okay.
Confucianism, with its emphasis on patriarchal authority,
Right.
posed an obvious obstacle to a female ruler.
Yeah.
By elevating Buddhism, Wu Zetian was able to tap into an alternative belief system,
Okay.
one that was more accepting of female leadership.
But she went even further, right?
Should.
She used the Great Cloud Sutra, a Buddhist text,
Yeah,
to justify her rule.
right.
Tell us more about how she turned religious doctrine into a powerful propaganda tool.
So the Great Cloud Sutra contains prophecies
Okay.
about a female ruler who will appear on Earth as a bodhisattva,
Mhm.
a compassionate being destined for enlightenment
Right.
to save the world from suffering.
Okay.
Wu Zetian cleverly used this text to position herself as that prophesied ruler,
Wow.
chosen by divine mandate.
So she's not just ruling by force or political maneuvering.
Right.
She's claiming a higher authority, a divine right to the throne.
Exactly.
It's a brilliant PR campaign, centuries before the concept of PR even existed.
It really is.
And it was incredibly effective.
Yeah.
By aligning herself with Buddhism and promoting its teachings, she gained the support of powerful Buddhist institutions
Right.
and appealed to a segment of the population that may have been marginalized under Confucianism.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating how she navigated these religious currents to her advantage.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just Buddhism, was it?
No.
There's also evidence of her engaging with Taoist practices and rituals.
Absolutely.
She even participated in the Ving and Shan ceremonies,
Right.
elaborate rituals on Mount Tai traditionally reserved for emperors,
Yeah.
to demonstrate their connection to heaven
Yeah.
and their role in maintaining cosmic order.
It's pretty amazing.
For those unfamiliar with these ceremonies, could you explain their significance
Sure.
and why Wu Zetian's participation would have been such a powerful statement?
So imagine a grand procession.
Wait.
The emperor ascending this sacred mountain, performing sacrifices, offering prayers to the heavens.
Right.
It was a spectacle meant to showcase the emperor's divine mandate to rule.
Okay.
By participating in these ceremonies, Wu Zetian was sending a clear message. Okay.
She was not just a ruler,
Right.
but a divinely appointed leader on par with her male predecessors.
It seems she was a master at using religious symbolism to reinforce her authority
Absolutely.
and legitimize her reign.
Yeah.
But even the most masterful rulers are eventually subject to the tides of time and the ambitions of others.
Right.
Her reign, as we know, didn't last forever.
Indeed, as she aged, she began to rely more heavily on these two young brothers, Zhang Yizi and Zhang Chengzong, who became her favorites, and wielded significant influence within the court.
Right.
This, as you might imagine, led to discontent and resentment
Yeah.
among other officials.
The classic tale of the aging ruler and the ambitious favorites.
Yes.
It rarely ends well, does it?
No, it often sets the stage for intrigue and upheaval.
Right.
And that's precisely what happened in Wu Zetian's case.
Okay.
The Zhang brothers, perhaps emboldened by their privileged position,
Yeah.
became increasingly arrogant and corrupt.
Right. Alienating many powerful figures within the court.
So the seeds of rebellion were sown.
Right.
What were the events that ultimately led to her downfall?
A group of officials led by this cunning strategist named Zhang Jianzi
Okay.
saw an opportunity to restore the Tang Dynasty and oust the Zhang brothers.
Right.
They carefully orchestrated a coup, enlisting the support of Li Jian, Wu Zetian's son, and the rightful heir to the throne.
So they're not just removing Wu Zetian.
Right.
They're putting the dynasty back on its legitimate track.
Exactly.
What happened next?
So in 705, while Wu Zetian was ill,
Okay.
the conspirators stormed the palace,
Oh, wow.
swiftly eliminating the Zhang brothers.
Jeez.
Faced with overwhelming force and perhaps sensing that her time had come,
Yeah.
Wu Zetian agreed to abdicate in favor of her son.
After decades at the pinnacle of power, it ends in a palace coup.
Yeah,
It's only Shakespearean in its drama.
it really is.
What were the final days of her life like?
She was moved to a smaller palace, essentially under house arrest.
Right.
While some accounts paint a picture of a broken and defeated woman, others suggest she accepted her fate with a degree of grace, even wisdom.
Interesting.
She died a few months later at the age of 80.
It's hard to imagine the range of emotions she must experience.
Yeah.
Regret, perhaps, but also a sense of accomplishment.
Right.
We've talked about her ruthlessness, her ambition,
Yeah.
her political savvy. But there's another aspect of her legacy we haven't touched on yet.
Okay.
Her cultural impact.
Oh, that's a crucial part of her story.
Yeah.
Wu Zetian's reign wasn't just about political upheaval.
Right.
It was also a period of significant cultural flourishing.
Okay.
She was a patron of the arts and literature. Her court was a center of intellectual activity.
I'm curious about the specifics.
Yeah.
What were some of the key cultural achievements or trends during her time as emperor?
Well, she commissioned the compilation of important literary works,
Okay.
including the biographies of notable women, which is fascinating considering the prevailing Confucian views on women's roles.
Right.
It suggests a deliberate attempt to reshape the narrative,
Yeah.
highlight the accomplishments of women throughout history.
It's almost subversive, isn't it?
It is.
Using the power of storytelling to challenge these deeply ingrained societal norms.
Yeah.
Were there any other examples of her using culture as a tool to promote her agenda?
She actively encouraged scholarship and debate,
Good.
founding an academy that attracted some of the most brilliant minds of the time.
Oh.
The works produced during her reign ranged from poetry to philosophical treatises, and many reflected her own views on governance and the role of the ruler.
So she wasn't just a patron of the arts.
Right.
She was shaping the intellectual landscape,
Yes.
using culture to reinforce her authority and legitimize her reign.
Precisely.
And let's not forget her architectural achievement.
Oh, yeah.
She oversaw the construction of grand temples, palaces, other structures,
Right.
many of which were designed to awe and inspire. The Mingtang, for example, was this massive ceremonial hall in Luoyang, said to be so tall it could be seen for miles around.
It's quite a statement.
It's almost as if she was trying to physically embody her power and ambition in these structures.
And it wasn't just about grandeur.
Yeah.
These buildings also served important symbolic purposes.
Okay.
They were often designed to align with cosmological principles, reinforcing the idea of the emperor as a link between heaven and earth.
Right.
Wu Zetian understood the power of symbolism, and she used it masterfully.
It's amazing to think about the scale of her impact,
Yeah.
not just on the political landscape, but on the cultural and intellectual life of her time.
Absolutely.
But how has her legacy fared in the centuries since her death?
Right.
We know that Confucian historians often portrayed her as a ruthless tyrant.
That's true. And for a long time, her image was largely negative,
Yeah.
shaped by those Confucian biases against female rulers.
Right.
She was seen as an anomaly, a power-hungry woman who had usurped the rightful order.
But I sense that her story is being told differently now.
It is.
There seems to be a growing appreciation for her accomplishments.
Yeah.
A willingness to see her as more than just a villain.
You're absolutely right.
Oh.
In recent decades, there's been a significant reassessment of Wu Zetian's legacy.
Interesting.
Historians are looking beyond the traditional narratives and recognizing her as a complex and multifaceted figure.
So how is she viewed today?
Yeah.
Is she seen as a hero, a villain, or something in between?
I'd say the modern view is much more nuanced.
Okay.
She's still acknowledged as a ruthless and ambitious figure,
Right.
but also as a capable and effective ruler who oversaw a period of stability and prosperity. There's a recognition that she had to play a tough game in a male-dominated world,
Yeah.
and that her actions were often driven by necessity as well as ambition.
It's a story that resonates with many people today,
It does.
especially women who see her as a powerful role model.
Yeah,
Someone who shattered the glass ceiling of her time.
absolutely.
She's an inspiration to anyone who dares to challenge conventions and strive for greatness,
Right.
regardless of the obstacles they face.
I think we've successfully navigated our deep dive into the world of Wu Zetian.
I think so too.
We've explored her rise to power, her reign as emperor, her political and cultural achievements, and the complexities of her legacy.
It's a story that challenges our assumptions, prompts us to question traditional narratives, and ultimately leaves us with a deeper understanding of this remarkable woman
Right.
and her impact on Chinese history.
And it reminds us that history is rarely black and white.
Yeah,
It's full of fascinating individuals who defy easy categorization
for sure.
and whose stories continue to captivate us centuries later.
Indeed. It's been a journey full of intrigue, ambition,
It has.
and even a few aha moments.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the extraordinary life of Wu Zetian. Tell us what you think about this episode. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.